Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today, wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this from the Crypto Basic. Pundit says XRP is the only project Satoshi ever called interesting. Now, back then, it wasn't XRP yet. It was still called Ripple Pay. And I think people are bringing this up now because they're tired of the XRP Maxi FUD. It is getting ridiculous. I mean, the stuff that they are spewing now is just unbelievable. But it is nice to point out that Satoshi even thought that Ripple, that XRP back then, was interesting. And what's going on here? The Bitcoin Therapist posted, XRP outperformed Bitcoin in the last year. Should we be worried? What they're pointing out is the price of Bitcoin compared to the price of XRP. What they don't realize is that any new investor, they're not putting their money into Bitcoin. They're putting their money into something that they can build a decent bag of. Nobody's going to enter this space. No retail investor is going to enter this space and go all in on Bitcoin at $114,000 when they could buy XRP at $3. Because the better return on investment is now with XRP. XRP certainly painting a bullish narrative, entering top 15 most narrative drive assets closest to an all-time high. So in the current market cycle, narrative tokens are now the main driver. Narratives determine the pace of any project, be it in regulation-focused initiatives like XRP, DePIN meme coins, or AI. Both capital and volume are drawn to a token when traders discover a compelling narrative behind it, such as institutional adoption, legal clarity, or mass utility. XRP, that narrative for XRP has been around for a very long time. But now things are starting to coincide with the narrative. In other words, things that people thought would play out at some point in the future are actually playing out right now in real time. And I think that's what's really driving the interest in XRP right now. And that's what's also going to bring a lot of FOMO money to XRP once it starts to break out. XRP Simulator sent this to me earlier today. How easy would it be to get to $1,400 per XRP? $1 trillion in tokenized assets and $139 billion in value from ETFs with a 50x market cap multiplier. The only part of this I don't think you could really factor in is tokenized assets. I think tokenized assets, we're not going to be able to figure how high the price of a cryptocurrency is going to go early on until we start to see tokenized assets pouring in to this space. Right now, some things are getting tokenized. Soon, everything will be getting tokenized. But the market cap multiplier for XRP changes as well. I think with the ETFs, I think we're going to see a very expensive XRP very fast because of the market cap multiplier. But that's how quick you could literally get to a $1,400 XRP. Yet people still don't believe XRP will ever break above $10. It is absolutely coming. I'm telling you, this run is going to be the most hated XRP run for XRP haters. It's going to be the greatest run we ever seen as XRP investors. This comes from Jake Claver. The crypto space has moved past the old utility versus speculation debate. Some are still stuck there, while real change is happening in the background. Utility projects are building for real-world use. The market's next big move will come when it realizes utility coming online. And that's when true long-term value gets unlocked. And I agree with that. I think once you start seeing the real value from utility, that's going to change everybody's mind in the crypto space. Right now, they're always saying, well, I don't see any utility happening for XRP. It's all gradually coming because in the background, an entire new financial system is still building out. And Brian Armstrong says, crypto is at its blockbuster versus Netflix moment. Right now, businesses are going on chain and adopting crypto because they want to. They get it. Soon, the other businesses will be desperately trying to catch up. They'll go on chain because they need to. My advice, be early. I think it's going to cause a network effect because you're going to have some early adopters, early institutional adopters and businesses jumping on chain. Then all of a sudden, every other business will have to go in that direction. Otherwise, those businesses will just fold up. They'll be left behind. Same thing is going to happen with banks. Crypto's changing very fast right now. Some people see it, some people don't see it yet. But it is happening whether they like it or not. And anybody that doesn't see it and doesn't invest in the right way, they're going to get left behind as well. But JP Morgan finds little institutional appetite for DeFi. JP Morgan, I don't know what their deal is. They always have to create the crypto is not for me narrative. And they even say that tokenization isn't needed. But at the same time, BlackRock is telling you tokenization is the future. Institutional demand is there already. Institutions want to take advantage of tokenization and DeFi. That's why they're going to be entering this space. I don't know if JP Morgan is pushing this narrative to keep the prices down so that they can continue to acquire more and more assets or what. But I know Jamie Dimon knows the next big thing in crypto is tokenization. I think they're just going with an alternative narrative. Looks like Mark Yusko decided to join Caitlin Long party. Take a listen to this.
It's kind of like Circle, right? So Circle, the guys spun out of Goldman Sachs and they start this business and everybody says, oh, that's stupid, it'll never work. And it just quietly, and look, everyone knows I'm not a Brad Garlinghouse fan and I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm just not. But because of the way he did what he did with XRP, it's up. Oh, I told you it was up. Like, great. It went from 220 to 265. Knock yourselves out. But he did start to do something interesting in the last year or so, where he took this highly inflated asset, okay, that he really created from nothing. It was just a ICO, and he owns a bunch of it, and he started buying real businesses with an inflated currency. It's kind of what CoreWeave is doing with Core Scientific, right? CoreWeave was going to buy, it was with a Core Scientific was going to provide CoreWeave with a bunch of services, and they were going to have to pay them $10 billion a year. And they said, well, we'll just buy you for $8 billion. And that's a good thing. So you take your inflated stock and you buy an asset and you arbitrage the difference. And so Brad came in and said, all right, Circle, I'll pay you $8 billion. And Jeremy was like, ha, yeah, you wish. And everybody's like, no, that's a big number. It was only worth a couple billion. And he's offering you 8. Like, no. And literally a week later, he doubled the bid to 16. And everybody's like, oh my God, maybe they should take it. And Jeremy's like, no. So then they go public and they go from 16 to 80. Okay. No, I'm sorry, from 10. They went public at 10 to 80. They went up 8 times in a matter of weeks. Now they've fallen back and they're only 50, but that's a lot bigger than 16.
What he's not telling you is, first of all, there's no proof Brad offered 16. I think Brad even said they offered 8 and that was their top that they were going to offer, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But the problem with Circle is problems that are still existing. Coinbase is still taking $1 billion of their revenue. And even the other guy there at Circle, he was selling off the stock when it was at the top already. So they were pretty much cashing in on Circle. That's what happened. But there was no ICO for Ripple at all. And everybody knows that. But yet these people, they keep pushing that narrative. And take notice how he said XRP's an inflated asset, an inflated coin. XRP is undervalued. And they're still pushing the idea that Bitcoin is the only real cryptocurrency. Bitcoin's running on Tether printed out of thin air. And then they put that money, that fake Tether, into the price of Bitcoin, and then it goes higher. They got to keep propping it up. And at the same time, they keep the hype machine going so that they get as many retail investors in as they possibly can, because they also all need exit liquidity as well. These people are not going to be seen once XRP goes on a massive rip. I mean, wait until later in this cycle when XRP is skyrocketing and all of a sudden bank after bank is going to be talking about how they've been working with Ripple for years behind the scenes because they're all under NDA still. Wait until all that news keeps dropping day after day. The problem is these people are pissed off because they never thought Ripple was going to make it out of the Rippleverse SEC case. They thought at some point that XRP was going to be deemed a security and it was going to be gone forever. But now it's back. We know it's not a security and it threatens their precious Bitcoin and Ethereum. And now Ripple is a major threat to the banking system at the same time. That's why you have Caitlin Long. She's pissed off because she can't get a bank license. But most likely Ripple's going to get fast-tracked. Why? Because we're invested with the elites. And the elites are pulling the strings. They already know what's going to happen next. What's next for each major crypto bill? So for the Genius Act, what happened this week passed the House with bipartisan support. It already got signed by the president. The Digital Asset Market Clarity Act passed the House with strong bipartisan support. Now it moves on to the Senate for consideration. The anti-CBDC bill, what happened was it passed the House largely along party lines. What's next? Advances to the Senate for consideration amid ongoing privacy debates. What's nice about seeing this is things are actually happening in the United States. Normally, this would sit somewhere for another year before anybody ever talks about it again. Now, everything is getting fast-tracked. Just in, IMF blockchain analyst confirms stablecoins are flowing from the U.S. to the rest of the world. North America is the top source of digital dollar outflows. Real-world assets are fueling global liquidity. The digital dollar is not coming. It's already here. It's already moving all around the world. And people are still like, we're never going to get a digital dollar. What do you think a stable coin is when it's pegged to the US dollar? It's considered a digital dollar. We're not going to have a CBDC. What we're going to have is privately issued stable coins like RLUSD. And Dom from EZA says stable coins are going to replace fiat. And it will happen way faster than most people think. No one is ready. Stablecoins are definitely going to replace fiat. Cashless society, though, and I hope I'm right about this, doesn't happen until after 2028. But the way everything else is fast tracking, who knows? We might see cashless society by the end of 2026 or middle of 2027. It can happen that fast. But I think they're going to keep it around for a while still, and it's eventually just going to disappear. You're going to get incentivized to use stablecoins. There's already incentives to holding stablecoins. They're offering like 4% on RLUSD. I've seen some places where they're offering up to 6%. You don't get that at the bank in your checking account or savings account. It's still less than 1%. So just by holding stable coins instead of holding US dollars, you're already making money. And I think because of that, we will see cash disappear quicker than people think. Because whenever somebody could get something for free, what are they going to do? They're going to do it. If they said to you, hey, you could hold US paper dollars or you could hold stable coins, but the paper dollars, you're not going to gain anything on those. But we're going to give you 4% on these over here. People are going to flock to it. They're going to love the idea of that because it's free money. And anytime something's free, people have to have it. But until it all happens, stay patient, stay positive, and let's get rich together. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.